Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from Russia, and we're going to talk about a story that I briefly brought up this morning during our update video for the Russia Ukraine war, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it today. We're going to talk about this gentleman here on your screen. His name is Sergei Ryabkov. He is the deputy foreign minister out of Russia. And here's that story on your screen. Russia rejects U.S. peace proposals on Ukraine in its current form. Russia says it takes U.S. proposals for a ceasefire in Ukraine seriously, but cannot accept them in their current form, stating they fail to address what Moscow considers the root causes of the war. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about this story as it's probably one of the major headlines for the war right now with Russia and Ukraine. Lots of mainstream news picking this up today. We're actually going to go over one of their articles and talk about this. And basically, Russia coming out and saying that they either reject or refuse to sign any U.S. proposals that have currently been given them to them in terms of a peace deal with Ukraine. So looks like this deal, whatever was being handed over to them, or some of these proposals are not favorable to the Russians. And we know they have a lot of major demands, and many of these demands Ukraine will probably not give in to them. So let's talk more about this today, and we're going to hop in to a mainstream news article. We'll jump on over here to Yahoo News, and originally coming from Reuters, okay? It says Russia says it cannot accept U.S. proposals on Ukraine in current form. This just coming out today, April 1st, 2025. So we're not going to go over this whole article. We'll cover some of it, and we're also going to jump over to X. I'm going to show you guys something regarding Donald Trump as well in regards to this whole topic here. So let's go ahead and read a little bit of this. It says Russia cannot accept U.S. proposals to end the war in Ukraine in their current form because they do not address problems Moscow regards as having caused the conflict, a senior Russian diplomat said, suggesting U.S.-Russia talks on the subject had stalled. The comments by Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov suggest Moscow and Washington have so far been unable to bridge differences, which President Vladimir Putin raised more than 2 weeks ago when he said U.S. proposals needed reworking. It says here they come as U.S. President Donald Trump appears to be growing increasingly impatient with what he has suggested might be foot dragging over a wider deal by Moscow. Trump in recent days has said he is pissed off with Putin and has spoken of imposing sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil if he feels Moscow is blocking a deal. So this is something he stated yesterday. Apparently he's very upset. I've got a new report today from the White House that apparently he's not only upset with Putin, but he's also upset with Vladimir Zelensky as well. Most likely because both sides have major demands that they will not give into, which is going to make it very difficult for Trump to end this war. And many people probably say from the very beginning that Trump was going to have a difficult time to end this war, period. And who knows, maybe he might not even be able to end this war at all. So it says right here, Ryabkov, a specialist in U.S.-Russia relations, said Moscow was not yet able to move forward with the deal. However, we take the models and solutions proposed by the Americans very seriously, but we can't accept it all in its current form. Ryabkov was quoted by state media as telling the Russian magazine International Affairs in an interview released on Tuesday. It also says here, as far as we can see, there is no place in them today for our main demand, namely to solve the problems related to the root causes of this conflict. It is completely absent, and that must be overcome. Putin has said he wants Ukraine to drop its ambitions to join NATO. And this statement right here, in terms of joining NATO, we just heard the last 24 hours that reportedly Ukraine might be still trying to join NATO, or at least they're trying to push for that in terms of a minerals deal that they're trying to sign with the U.S., okay? And it also says Russia to control the entirety of the four Ukrainian region as claimed as its own, and the size of the Ukrainian army to be limited. Kiev says those demands are tantamount and demanding to its capitulation. Okay, so we know that pretty much all of these, Ukraine is not okay with this. I know they're having a difficult time trying to get into NATO right now, but in terms of Russia taking control of all these regions that it's currently controlling inside of Ukraine, like Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, and Donetsk regions, they don't control the entirety of either of those, but they want full control over all of them. And it says here the size of the Ukrainian army needs to be limited, but we're hearing from Ukraine they actually want to increase the size of their army, or at least keep it the same. They don't want to decrease it to around, I think, 100,000 troops or something like that is what Vladimir Putin was demanding. So it says here, very complex. Asked about Trump's latest remarks about wanting Putin to do a deal on Ukraine, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters earlier on Tuesday that Moscow was continuing our contacts with the American side. The subject is very complex. The substance that we are discussing related to Ukrainian settlement is very complex. This requires a lot of extra effort. Okay, so it sounds like to me there's no chance anytime soon of any kind of deal being signed between Russia and Ukraine, as basically this entire U.S. proposal that's been given over to Russia has now been rejected. So I'm going to show you guys one more thing here, also coming out from the White House on X. So we're going to hop on over here real quick with War Translated. Trump is disappointed with the leaders of Russia and Ukraine, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated. So this was her at the White House today, and it's about 23 seconds long. I want you guys to take a look at this real quick. We'll be right back.
I can tell you what the president said last night, and that is he is frustrated with leaders on both sides of this war. He wants this war to end. There are men that are dying on both sides, and it's been going on for far too long. Our team continues to be engaged with the Russians as we are with the Ukrainians, and the president continues to be very, very much engaged on this topic every single day. I can tell you what the president...
Okay, so according to the White House press secretary here, Caroline Leavitt, she's stating that Trump is still working very hard to try to end this war, but at the same time, I'm assuming that he's basically feeling that both sides, whether it be Vladimir Putin with Russia or Volodymyr Zelensky with Ukraine, are being stubborn and not being willing to give up certain things. We've heard many times in the past that many top Trump officials are stating that neither side will basically get what they want, but at the same time, both sides are standing very firm on some of their demands, okay? Russia has their demands, Ukraine has theirs, which is making it very difficult for Donald Trump, the president of the United States, to end this war, okay? So at least at the moment, it looks like we're at a deadlock here, and it doesn't look like we're going to see any kind of outcome in terms of a peace deal, but maybe this thing will get reworked and we'll see what happens here. But we're hearing so much coming out from Ukraine today. Reportedly, they may be trying to get into NATO through the minerals deal, at least trying to push for that in principle. So we'll have to see what happens here on how things play out, but just wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on in this situation with the ceasefire deal and ending this war between Russia and Ukraine. But that's the latest coming out from Russia here from Sergei Ryabkov, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia. So let me know what you guys think about all this. I'm curious to know how you feel. Share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions down in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.